तो हम थे fine. So हम यहाँ थे last class तक. So we did learning about so we learned about the models and the diagrams. Kindly mute your fine. So in the last class we were on the models and the diagram. Now we'll start with object modeling techniques. So this is the last topic of our first chapter. So object modeling techniques. So we are having many modeling approaches for the software modeling and designing are available for us. So we'll go for object oriented analysis and design for our course. So what is this object modeling technique is? Usually it describes the static structure of your system instead of defining your dynamic structure. And what is the advantage of this system is that it is very easy to use and very easy to draw. So this is just an introduction of this. And what is the purpose for using the object modeling technique is to understand and know what are the physical entities are in the system before we are will dive in the system or going before the construction of our system. And then we want to make communication easier with the customer as well as the different objects available in our system. So for the better communication we'll go for object modeling. Then the another advantage or purpose of this is that is visualization. It will provide a visualization of your software better in the early phases of your project life cycle, so that you can understand better what is the system and what will it do. Then it probably it reduces the complexity of your software by providing the early visualization of overall your software and what are the actors of your system, user of the system, what are their roles and what are the different artifacts available in your system. So it usually finally we can say that it helps to solve the real world problem that exists, and we can solve easily. That we have learned about different techniques before in the origin of software object oriented techniques. So it usually helps for the implementation of your real world problems in your virtual systems or in case of information system. So we are having three types of object models are available. First is a object modeling techniques. So first, an object model that represents your dynamic structure, static structure. Then we'll go for dynamic model. Then we are having the functional models, so that will introduce all the collaboration and the sequences of your softwares. So we'll start with the object model. So already we gone object diagram and the class diagram in the previous classes. So I think you are comfortable with the object as well as the classes. So what is this object model? So it encompasses all the principles of abstraction, encapsulation, modularity, hierarchy, then concurrency and the persistence of your system. So we already covered all sorts of things, that what is abstraction, encapsulation, modularity, hierarchy. So we'll go for typing, concurrency and the persistence in the 5th unit of our system, in our syllabus. So we'll leave this typing, concurrency and the persistence till now. Then so its main emphasis on the objects and the classes. So it models your static structure of your system. So what are the objects in your system and what are the different classes available, what is the relationship between objects and different objects with their classes, and what are the what are different identities of different objects with their classes, and what are the association relationship or the different relationships available between the classes. And so finally what we can say that it usually models the static structure of your system, and generally we represent it by a class diagram or by object diagram. So this is an object model. Then so before developing an object model, so we have to go for some different steps that help for object modeling. So first step, and this is our first practical for problem statement that we'll cover in the tomorrow. So how to write a problem statement, how to build your class diagram and domain diagram, so on. So the first step is read carefully what are the problem statement, and in that practical, we'll identify different artifacts and different users and different classes that are being available in our problem statement, and we will identify all sorts of things, and then we'll model our object model. So first is read carefully your problem statement and identify different source. Second step, it says that it locate the object classes by underlying nouns. So find first, you read all the problem statement, or first you have to understand, or you'll go for how to write in problem statement of your system, and then identify what are the nouns and what are the verbs in your system. Then what we'll do is that we remove unnecessary or incorrect classes, or we can add additional classes that exist between different nouns, or some association between nouns. Then we'll prepare a data dictionary or the glossary of our system that will helpful for defining different functionalities. Then we'll go for finding the relationship between different objects and the classes. Then again, after finding the association, we'll go for finding what are the attributes, and we can remove unnecessary attributes over here. Then when we find association, then next is to find the inheritance relationship. In addition to that, we'll go for dependency relationships, and what are the different paths from your start to the last end. So this is all about the different steps for identifying the object models in our from our problem statement. Then we'll go for dynamic model. So it represents your dynamic structure of your system. So it involves states. So as I mentioned in the state of your object, so let's say my name is Abhishek. So the object, the state of object is that the name is Abhishek and the middle name is Singh and last name is Rathod. So we are having different states of our classes. Then what are the events or what are the functions related with this states or the classes related with each other, and what are, and then we'll go for the state diagram. So state diagram usually consists the transition diagram from one phase to another phase and so on. So main concepts are related with these dynamic models are the state transitions and the states and different events that are triggered from your model. So it usually contains the aggregation and the generalization of your model. Then it represents the functional behavior of your systems. So what is the behavior of your system, how it functions, and how the functions are taken over time, or how you will control different events and your flow of your system, or the events, how objects interact with each other. So this is being represented in the dynamic model. So for going for dynamic model, so first we have to identify the use case of our diagram. So in tomorrow's class, we'll start with static structure, and then we'll go for use cases. Usually uh, uh, lots of practitioners start with their use cases, but as per my knowledge and as per my understanding, I'll start with the static model. So we'll start with the domain model, and uh, I will tell you what are the main reasons with starting with the domain diagram instead of starting with the use case diagram. Although lots of even 90% of practitioners use use case model as an first step, but we'll start with the domain model in the tomorrow's class. Then so with starting with the dynamic model, so we have to identify what are the use cases and what are the current scenarios available there. Then we have to identify different boundary conditions for the your use cases. We have to identify what are the actors of your system, that is what are the users of your system. Then we have to locate what are different objects and how this object traces and event trace diagram for your particular scenario, or we can say that particular system. Then we'll go for event flow diagram, or we can say that we are going for what is the flow diagram of your system. So we'll consist sequence diagram over here. Then we'll go for the state diagram. So this is the dynamic structure. So it will contains usually the different objects, how they objects interacting with each other dynamically. Then we'll go for consistency and the completeness of your system, what the final stage of your system will be. Then we'll go for the functional model. So what are the functional models? So this functional model focuses on how your data is flowing in your system. So main concepts are the data flow or data store are the process and the actors of your system. So what are the actions that are being taken by your actors or the user of your system will include the data flow diagram of your system. So how your system, what your system will do and what it will not do in alone. Then so what is an DFD? So when we are going for DFD, I think that you are aware of the DFD. So I will not consider this data flow diagram over here. So just a brief overview. This data flow diagram consists of different processes, data flow actors. Here I am saying, when I am saying the actors, it means that the user of your system, then your data store or your data marts, then it consists. So this data flow diagram consists of your input data and your output data. So how to represent your input and output and your different flow of functions available here. Then when we are going for data store, so we'll represent as an data repository. So this is just a functional diagram. So our major uh, emphasis is how to go for functional model. So first is you have to identify your input and output of your system. So as in our first class I had defined that in our system we each system resides in any environment, and for this system takes input from environment and gives output to your environment. So we have to identify what are the input and output that are being taken and given to the environment of our system, information system. Then we'll use data flow diagrams, so that it represents the functional dependencies exist between different modules of system, or we can say that different functionalities of your systems. Then finally we'll define the functions that exist in your system. Then we'll identify different constraints on each classes, and we like to optimize our system as small as possible. So this is just an object modeling technique. So we are having three object models are available with us, and these object models are usually closely related to each other. So when we try to integrate uh, all these models, so it after integrating will achieve a complete view of your whole system. Instead of modeling all those diagram alone, we have to integrate all sorts of this diagram. So when I'm saying that these are closely related, so we are having different steps, or we can say that we have some certain points which says that how these are closely related. So when I'm saying that each model describes the aspect of your system but contains the reference to your other models. Like say when we are developing a class diagram, so we have to identify the actors of your system. We have to identify different main functionalities of your system. So we have to model use case before our class diagram. So these are it contains reference. So class diagram contains the reference of your use case model. Then I will start with the domain model. So instead of use case diagram, so this use case will contains the reference of your domain model to identify your domains of your system or the major nouns of your system. Then object model describes the data structure on which the dynamic and the functional model operates. So when we are going for static diagram, so you have to consider what are the different data structures available for the your dynamic as well as the functional models. Then uh, the operations in the object model corresponds to events. So when we are going for linking, so each operation, when we are describing a class model, so in the class model will define the behavior of our system. So this behavior is being related to events of other models like in dynamic model or the functional model. Then the dynamic model describes the controlling structure of the objects. It shows decision which depends on your object values and which causes the action that changes your object value. So these events which are being taken from your class diagrams, or even we can say in abstract way, I can say that from your object model. So these events usually put some constraints and aid how to change the state of your diagram. So these are being again closely related and with each other. Then the functional diagrams, we describe the function in invocation. So again, when we are going for design patterns, so in case of design pattern, one class is being used by another classes or the realization of other classes. So the relationship between different classes also affects the behavior functional model of system or the behavior of our system. Then we go for the final step is the functions operand on the data values specified on the object model. So fine. So when we are going for functional model, so we are having different functions available, and we describe all sorts of data in our class diagram. So this function usually operates on the database that is being defined in the class model. So we can say that all sorts of these models are being closely related, and we'll go for some iterative approaches or incremental approaches for implementing this object modeling techniques for our object oriented analysis and design. So major concerns of our object modeling is we are having three steps are available. First is analysis. So analysis is the first step of our object modeling technique. So this analysis, uh, so this first phase of the object modeling technique, it involves the preparation of precise and correct modeling of the real world problems. So when we are going for the analysis phase, it starts with setting a goal. So in case of analysis, we have to identify goal. That is, we have to find our problem statement, or we have to write our problem statement. Then after finding the problem statement, this problem statement is further divided into three models, that is object model, dynamic model, and the functional model that we have covered just before. So in analysis phase, our emphasis is on the investigation, the problems and the requirements of your system instead of finding the solution of system. So we'll go for identifying what are the problems and what are the requirements given by our user. For example, let's say we have to develop a uh, library system for our university. So we have to consider uh, how what are the requirements for our system and how will be used in our university scenario. So this is considered this all things are considered in the analysis phase. So when we are saying that analysis, so analysis is very broad term, and when we are focusing in our software information system, so this analysis will be qualified as requirement analysis or the object analysis. So when we are going for requirement analysis, this is just an investigation of requirement, and when we are going for the object analysis, we are going to investigate domains of domain objects for our system. So in case analysis, we are focusing on the requirement analysis, and we are focusing on the domain of our system. So in tomorrow class, we'll start with the domain model. So we'll identify domain of our system first, then we'll go for what are the different requirements is being available. Then the second phase is system design. So in the second phase of object modeling techniques, uh, it determines all the system architecture, where in case of analysis, our focus is on requirement and domain identification, while in case of system design, our will determine system architectures, what are the concurrent tasks available, and what is the data storage availability for our system. So we'll go for high level architecture of the system that is being designed during this phase. So our emphasis is on the conceptual solution that fulfills our requirements, rather than we are going for implementation. So we'll go for conceptual solution instead of what that is available as an implementation. So for an example, let's say a description of database schema and the and software objects. So we are not going for implementation. Instead we'll define, let's say this is the database and what will be its schema that is being available, and what are the different objects will be available for our system. So as with the analysis, the term is best qualified as the object design or database design for this system design. So when we are going for analysis and design, so this has been summarized in the phase to do the right thing. So we have to do right thing, that is analysis, and do the thing right. So this is design. So how can we differentiate this analysis and system design is that, so analysis is doing right thing, while in case of system design we are doing the thing right. So एक एक वर्ड आगे पीछे. So this is an system design. Then third step is object design. So in case of object design, uh, the object design, we can say that this is concerned with the classification of objects into different classes, and what are the attributes and necessary operations needed. So after finding what are different classes are being available for us, we'll classify what are the different classes are being available, and we'll group into similar, let's say we'll group it into package or the components, or in case of a subsystem or the system. So we'll classify all sorts of things. So different issues related generalization and aggregation and all sorts of relationships will be checked here. So we'll not go for what are the association relation. We'll consider association relationship in the early system design, and then what are the specialized relationship that is being available. So we'll model all this thing in the object design. Then final step is the implementation. So in case of implementation, uh, this is the last step, and this is all about the converting your prepared design into software. So this is just an implementation sort of thing. So design phase is translated into the implementation phase, and thus we are having our information system is that is being available. So then we go for object oriented analysis. So this was the simple object modeling techniques or modeling techniques. Then our syllabus is all about object oriented analysis and design. So what is this object oriented analysis and design? So this diagram is being available for you. So what is this object oriented analysis and design? So during object oriented analysis, that is being first step of your object modeling technique. So when we are going for object oriented analysis instead of just an analysis, so in object oriented analysis our emphasis is on finding and describing the what are different objects or the concepts in our problem domain. So what we'll find what is the problem domain for our system, then we'll find what are different objects and or the concepts available. For example, for this, let's say we'll consider this library information system for our university. So some of the concepts include like a book. This is a book, or we can say that we'll identify another concept, that is library, or different stakeholders of our library. So during object oriented design, there is an emphasis on defining the software objects and how they collaborate to fulfill the requirement. So for our example of library system, book software object. So this book software object uh, may have little attributes, and we have, let's say we have a function that say get chapter or get book. Then filing during the implementation of our object oriented programming or design, the design objects are implemented such as book class in Java. So we'll in the implementation part, when we identify this book as a concept in the earlier design phase, sorry, earlier analysis phase, and in the final implementation phase, we'll write this book concept as an book class in, let's say, in Java or in C++ or in C# and so on. So So this is all about object oriented analysis. So let me check what is being available for us. So let's say start with our example. So we are again taking another example. So uh, this is being first example is that we are having a dice game in which a player rolls a 2 die. If the total is 7, they win, otherwise they lose. So uh, mm, our domain is a dice game, and we have to calculate the addition. When we are rolling 2 dice, we have to calculate their addition, and if it is more than 7, then we'll go for win, otherwise our system will lose. So what are the different steps for defining this system? Is first step is define use cases. So in case of use case, uh, requirement analysis may include a description of your related domain process. So when we are going for use cases, we have to identify the domain process, and this domain process or domain this domain can be written as a use case. So when we are saying that use case are the object oriented technology, no, we can't say that object use cases are the object oriented artifacts. They are just simply written stories. So uh, then question arises that why we are including this use case in our object oriented analysis. So the simple solution is that this is the very popular tool in the requirement analysis, and when it is popular, so it is been included in the unified process. I will cover you what is the unified process in the later part of our chapter. Then so for our system, play a dice game. So uh, how can we write our use cases that a player picks up and roll the dice? If the dice face value is 7 or more than 7, then they will win, otherwise they will lose. Then second step in the object oriented analysis is define the domain model. So when we are concerning about the object oriented analysis, so we are concerning about the creating a description of our domain from perspective of the classification objects. So we'll go for decomposition of domain that involves the identification of concepts, attributes, association that are considered as very important. The result can be expressed in a domain model. So we are having a domain model available here. So this is our domain model. So what will going is that, so in case of our use case, we identified that we are having a player, we are having a dice game, and we are having some values. So in case of domain diagram, what we are having, so we are having a name of player. So we'll, in case of domain model, we'll write a name of player. Then we are having a player, then we are having a die, and our die game, and their association and their attributes are that is available. So when we are considering this domain model, so this is not a description of our software objects, so it is just a visualization of concepts in our real world domain. So we are not going for the implementation view or what are the different functions are available in the domain model. Instead, we are just providing a visualization of our real world problem. Then third step is define the interaction diagram. So this is our interaction diagram. So we are having a class, this is dice game, and then we are having two different states of dice. So this is die 1, this is die 2. Then what the player start is, the player starts your dice game. So we are having function that is play. So this function player, so a function is associated with this play or this dice game. So we are having a function associated with the player and dice game. So when in the previous slides, when I'm saying that different domain so different diagrams are interrelated, so this is just an interrelation of different diagrams. So player and dice game are associated with the play. So player starts, our player calls the function plays of the dice game, and then we are having in this dice game. From this dice game, we'll call a function roll a die, will again call a function roll second die. So we are rolling two different dice, and then we'll get what is the face value of your dice. So we'll get from dice 1 and dice 2 what is the face value of this different dies. So when we are going for the different interaction diagrams, so in case of interaction diagrams, we are defining software objects and their collaboration. So here different objects are available. This is an object of this is again an object, this is an again object, and this is an again object. As in some previous classes I'm saying that how to write an object. So to write an object, we put the name of object before the column and its identity, that is their class, after the column. So this is die1 is again a instance of die class. This is die2 is again instances are object of die class. Again this is unnamed instance of your dice game class. So I had not written any name for this instances. We can say that this is an simple this application is having just only instances, so we not need to write any instance name over here. So the common notation is to illustrate different collaboration in this interaction diagram. So we'll consider different collaboration in this diagram, and it shows the flow of messages. Here you can find how the flow of messages is being recorded in this interaction diagram. For example, let's say this figure illustrates the essential steps for of playing games. So what are different messages are used in different instances of your classes, so that is being available. So this instance calls role function or the get face value function from this object. In addition to that, it also calls a role function and get face value for this second instance of your classes. So this is all about interaction diagram. Then after finding the interaction diagram, we finally design our class diagram. So this is our class diagram. So this is uh, our class diagram. So this is overall the structure of your system. So in case of dice key, so again we are having so this is our functional diagram, this is our object diagram, and this is our again this is an dynamic diagram. So we are having different diagrams are available, and this is in model. So when we are going for class diagrams, this illustrates your attributes and methods available to classes. So these are different attributes available. So this is face value, that is integer. This is the function, this is again function, which value is whose return type is integer. Again we have a void function, that is a role function. So we are having different attributes and different functions are associated with our class diagram. So this is basic steps, that is you have to start with writing a use case diagram. So in case of use case diagram, you identify different concepts and what are the requirements that is being modeled. Then we'll go for a domain model. So in case of domain model, what we are going is we are identifying visualization of our overall system. Then we'll go for interaction diagram, where we find out different collaborations between instances of different classes. And then finally we have a design class diagram. So we are having class diagram. In case of class diagram, we finally identify what are the different attributes and what are the functions available for our implementation. So this is just an step to identify steps of our object oriented analysis. Then this is from first chapter, and I'll start chapter 2 from here. So meanwhile, any questions from anyone? SG, MR, Swaraj Gupta, do you have any question? MR, RG, and so on? No. Okay, fine. So I'll start again sharing my second screen. So
I had one query.
Okay, fine. Who's that? Nitesh. So sorry.
Sir, Nikita Jain.
Okay, Nikita. Tell me.
As in the previous example, as you defined 4 steps, like making use case diagram, domain model, interaction design. So how do we come to know that we have to make this diagram? Like we have learned quite a lot of modeling concepts.
Okay, fine. So
when and how?
Wait. So I'll considering this, so we are going for the unified process. So in case of unified process, we are having different steps like inception phase, elaboration phase, construction phase, and implementation phase. So we have different steps are available. So construction phase and transition phase. So in case of, so we'll start with the domain diagram. So we'll identify different domains, and when we identify different domains, then we'll go for a use case diagram to implement the requirement phase of our system. Then after identifying the use case description, use case diagram, we'll write the use case description for this use case diagram. So this isn't just a documentation. So after, when we are having the use case description, then we'll go for our interaction diagram, that is a sequence diagram. So identifying what are the different uh, uh, methods are being available, and after identifying the sequence diagram, we'll go for the class diagram, and this will go iteratively. And after we are having, when we are having the final stable class diagram, then we'll go for the different component diagram, system diagram, subsystem diagram, and so on. So this will be covered in the design phase of our system. So you will certainly identify also different artifacts of our system. So we'll start it by tomorrow or later. So we have a 7 minutes. So shall I start a unified process? So we'll start our second chapter over here. So that will include your how to go for this sorts of thing. So to implement, is my slide is available to you? This is a unified modeling language. Is it available? No, I don't think so.
No,
Hello?
sir.
Okay, fine. Wait. So I'll start sharing my screen again. This is domain and share. So is this available? Yeah, fine. Is it available? Hello?
So not yet.
No, sir.
Not okay. So unified language is available now. Wait for just a minute and stop sharing. Then again, I'm going for my application tab. So is it available now?
No, sir.
Okay,
No,
fine.
sir.
So okay, wait. So we'll start it by tomorrow. So in the tomorrow's class, what we'll cover is we'll cover the unified modeling language. So what is the unified modeling language? So when we are going for the practical parts, and today is your tomorrow is your practical lab session. So I will introduce unified modeling language to you. So in this unified modeling language, you are having different artifacts and different models that is being I had defined in previous chapter, in previous slides. So let's say we are having activity diagram, use case diagram, interaction diagram, and so on. So uh, we'll start with some problem statement, and we'll go for iterative incremental approach and unified process. So till that you are comfortable with the waterfall model or the spiral model that is being that you had learned in the previous classes. So we'll go for iterative incremental approach, and how we'll go for iterative and incrementally. So when you are saying that how we'll decide which diagram is to being drawn, so we'll go for the incremental approach. So we'll get different increments in terms of iteration. So we have predefined way, so when to start and when to stop. So we'll cover all sorts of things in the tomorrow class. So before that, I request you to kindly download a software that is known as StarUML, that is being available from staruml.io, that is being freely available, and try to draw a class diagram for this. So मैंने अगर आपको कुछ डिफाइन तो कर दिया था एज क्लास डायग्राम के कुछ रिलेशंस हमने आइडेंटिफाई करे थे. So try to draw a class diagram instead of use case diagram. So with some example that जो मैंने आपको बताए भी थे प्रीवियस क्लासेस में. So उस क्लास को इम्प्लीमेंट करने की कोशिश करिएगा, देन हम कल उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने की कोशिश करेंगे. तो ट्राई प्लीज आप ट्राई करिएगा. मतलब जब आप आपके सिस्टम खोलें तो स्टार यूएमएल भी आपके पास इंस्टॉल्ड होना चाहिए. तो काइंडली डाउनलोड. दिस इज फ्रीली अवेलेबल एंड साइज इज जस्ट 127 MB or 128 MB. So kindly go for this. So fine, this is from all my side, but wait, before leaving I have to take attendance. So this is 52 students are available. Kindly wait. So I'll download attendance. Wait. So today is 24th August. Okay. Thank you. Meanwhile, any questions from anyone?